Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, Savannah, what's going on? We're back. We took last week off, and we're running a little later than usual tonight, but we're here. We're going to talk about... Here's what's on the agenda. Doctor Who.
So surprising. It's so weird.
Yeah.
We got catching up to do. I also watched some other stuff that I want to talk about just briefly, I swear. But first, what's going on, you two? Oh, did we do our names?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I swear I'm not turned up to 11 tonight.
It's such a reflex that we forget. It's like you didn't even know we did it. We did it.
It really is. It's like it's just. I should just pre-record it.
That'll be part of the intro video. It'll be a countdown, and then it'll be pre-recorded, and then it'll just cut to us wearing different clothes.
Different clothes, clearly. Yeah.
Melanie will have a different icon.
Yep.
How are you guys doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah, decent. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's always a little awkward. Like I ask you guys are just like ready to talk about what we're supposed to talk about, Randy.
How was your day?
It was fine. There hasn't been much of it. I slept a lot of the day. My hours are crazy, weird, and late now. I don't know. But you know what? Maybe not today, but recently, what I've been doing, I've been watching some Trauma, and that's what I wanted to talk about real quick. Also, viewer, yep, just the one right now. What have you been watching? Oh, she opened her store at 6:30 a.m. Oh, I was still up. It's cool.
That's not too bad.
You were still up.
I
Yeah.
was still up, dude. Oh, it's terrible. You've been watching TYT. Oh, you're back on the TYT kick, man. I fell off of that. I fell off all of it, all the political everythings.
I still love Anna, but man, sometimes Jinx a little much.
Maybe Jinx got better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he aged backwards somehow and became less of a cranky, stubborn old man. Probably not, though. I don't dislike him.
No, I don't dislike him either.
There's hardcore fans that listen to this later. I don't dislike Jink, but man, he's a broke record sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And he's stubborn, and he doesn't listen as well to other people as he should, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. He's different than he used to be, which people change. It happens. But they've been streaming long enough. Like, go back even just a couple years. It's quite the difference.
Mm-hmm. And as Savannah says, you get so angry about it, it's for the best, and that's true.
I do. That's why I was so frustrated, because nothing
Changes.
The corruption is never addressed. It's only further what's the word? Rewarded.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I know.
You know where corruption does get addressed? In Traumaville.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to see a little blood junkie yet?
No. That is okay. So I didn't get to any of the new Trauma. I didn't get to like Blood Junkie, which is like new tangential Trauma. Like right. I guess you said it was like officially like it's a Trauma production, but it's different. It's not,
Right.
And I wanted to. What
is Blood Junkies like the rich people that inject themselves with blood so that of the young so that they can stay young forever, like old Elizabeth Bathory type stuff, except without the bathing? Because they do that, I hear.
No, that's somehow scarier.
Yeah.
And suddenly I realized how Q took off.
Right.
We did the Trauma episode a few weeks back, about a month or so, I guess. In fact, it was about a month ago, because my free month trial was coming up to an end, and I was like, man, I should get some more use out of this before I have to cancel it, because I'm not gonna. I didn't want to continue. I didn't want to pay for it, which is not nice to say, but whatever. But I will say I went through a little roller coaster. Partway through my viewings, I was like, you know what? a month or two, maybe they're worth it. I'll give Troma like what is it, like $6 a month. I'll give them some money, sure. Watch some stuff, and then by the time I got to the end of these movies, I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm canceling this right now.
It's over.
It's done. Uh, but I wanted to watch I wanted to watch the classics. So I rewatched Toxic Avenger. I have seen that before. For the first time, I watched Toxic Avenger Part 2, Part 3, and then I went to Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD because I've never seen that, and he popped
Right.
up in. I started Toxie 4, and he popped up, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to wait on this and watch that. And that's when the downhill slide started, and I watched that. And then I watched Citizen Toxie, which is Toxic Avenger 4. And gauging by looking just at the Toxie series, so I've watched all the Toxic Avenger movies until this remake or whatever reboot comes out soon. I think next year it's supposed to come out. And then looking at like kind of general people's opinions of the movies, I think I think I have a hot take on it. My taste for the Toxie movies is the exact opposite of everybody's, because people are like, Citizen Toxie it's the best Toxie, and not only is it the best Toxie, it's the best Troma movie. I hated it. It's the worst Toxic Avenger. I hated it so much, and apparently Part 2 and 3 are not loved at all. Part 2 has a zero, like a straight up 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's crazy.
I liked those two the best of the whole series. I thought 2 and 3 were fun. They still sucked in respects because Kaufman has that like very slapstick, goofy humor, like, and it's super thick in those movies. Like you can. Part 2 and 3, I think I like because they're kind of fun. Like they're not wholesome, but they are more wholesome. Like you can kind of see how they made a cartoon out of Toxic Avenger watching those.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get into Toxie 4 and it's full on. It was like 2000, but it's full on 90s like edgelord stuff, and I hated it. It's not good. There's fun ideas, but the execution is so different. It's much more Romeo and Juliet era, where it's just like, except worse, where it's just gross out to be gross out, edgy to be edgy, and none of that really adds to it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And Sergeant Kabuki Man was okay, but it was kind of boring. And it didn't have the appeal. Like, I like the Toxic Avenger as a character. He's fun to look at. I like the juxtaposition of he's like a big brooding monster with a, but then when he talks, he's like extremely like well spoken, and it sounds very nice and very polite, and he's got this nice deep voice. That's such a fun like juxtaposition. And Sergeant Kabuki Man's just a weird character, man. It's like the Mask, except a Kabuki version of the Mask in a way, and before the Mask. I think I could be wrong. That's it. That's my trauma rant. So I watched Sergeant Kabuki Man. It started to slide downhill. I finally finished Toxie 4, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna pay for this. So I canceled it. I'm sorry. I don't hate trauma. I like the idea of it, but man, I have struggled with it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Of trauma,
Sure.
it would be tough to. I mean, like you've got to love it, man, in order
Right.
to make it worth a monthly subscription.
Right.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think it's cool that if you want, it's cool that they have the free trial. But if there's like, if you want to get a trauma fix or you're curious or whatever, buy it for a month, binge a bunch of them, and be like,
Right.
okay, I'm good. $6 is worth binging through some of those.
Mm-hmm.
But as yeah, you got to be a kind of a diehard to as an ongoing thing,
Mm-hmm.
unless you just like supporting the company, and that's not a terrible idea either. But
I would be. I don't know because I never looked at it. Are there really that many trauma movies that you need to subscribe every month, or it doesn't seem like there would be that many that you would not be able to get through them within like like you said, a few months or maybe a year or something.
Oh, I think you could definitely get through them in a year, a few months if you were like crazy about it.
Mm-hmm.
There are quite a bit more than I expected, and I mean, there's the big franchises like Toxic Avenger. There's 4 movies right there. The Class of Nukem High has way more movies than I realized. Um, and then they have lots of one-offs and stuff. And I mean, they've been making movies since I think Kaufman started in the 70s. Um, and they've continued making movies. But then they have some public domain movies on there. I noticed. I was like, oh, that's a good cheap way to beef up the catalog.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got some other probably cheaply licensed, or maybe they just acquired from elsewhere,
Mm-hmm.
movies that are either like B horror or just like old horror stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They have an erotic, or no, it's not called erotic. That's too classy. It's called naughty section, which
Mm-hmm.
is like there's a lot of weird Japanese movies in there that I was like, what is all that? Okay,
Like tentacle
um,
porn,
what's that?
like tentacle porn or something.
No, it's not. I mean, maybe there was animated, but it's not animated. It's all like, um, I don't know if it's direct to video or what, but like soft core porn, Japanese. Something I discovered watching the Toxic Avenger movies is apparently the first Toxic Avenger did really well in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So in Toxie 2, Toxie goes to Japan, so a big portion of that movie takes place in Japan and was partially produced there. He also, by the way, he gets there by windsurfing from America to Japan. That's fun. See, I like this. I like those movies. Um, and then Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD Blue. That was a good show. I'm at about a 10.5. Okay. That only exists because Toxie did so well in Japan. They're like, we want to like create a character with us, like this Japanese co-production, and Namco was involved because they wanted to make toys out of it.
Like the video game, like the people who make Pac-Man.
Yes, the people who make Pac-Man. They also do toys apparently, which makes sense. But so like they co-produced the movie. Apparently they were not thrilled with the final result. It's like, well, I mean, what did you expect?
Right.
But so my point is, yeah, maybe like Troma's got a lot of like ties with Japanese production company or companies, and that's why there's weird Japanese softcore on their streaming.
All right. So you'll know
Savannah.
if you like it.
Savannah was too. She says she's too young to understand NYPD Blue.
That's all right.
I didn't get in on it at the very beginning of the series, but I did when Jimmy Schmitz was on it.
Yeah, that's when I watched it a little bit too, because my sister had a big crush on him. But
And then he got replaced by Ricky Schroeder.
yep.
Silver Spoons. It was a good show.
That's a reference only we will get.
Yeah, that's definitely too old for Savannah. If she didn't understand what NYPD Blue. NYPD Blue was interesting because it was, I can't remember the showrunner's name now, but he also went on to do Deadwood, and they both had such interesting weird dialogue. It's like his own version of Shakespearean dialect where people talk like you can understand them, but everyone talks in a certain weird way that's like nobody in the real world actually speaks like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If
It's
that's
pretty-
what you do.
If that's
Sorry?
what you effing do.
Yeah, I couldn't say it, so
Yeah. The Deadwood's so good.
yeah.
But
Anyways, let's move on.
did you guys watch anything?
Actually, I watched Shang-Chi, and I also
man.
watched Red Notice, which is it's new on Netflix, and it's got Ryan Reynolds, it's got The Rock, and it's got Gal Gadot,
Okay.
and they're basically like, well, The Rock plays like a Fed or something, but he's like out of his jurisdiction, and it's like a art heist type of thing. Like they're all trying to swindle each other, kind of thing.
Oh, wait, The
And,
Rocket. Wow, I've never even
yeah.
heard of this.
Yeah, and you like that right off the bat. You're like, that casting, I need to see this, and then you watch it, and you're like, oh, like it's written super duper campy. It is not
Really?
very original. It's dumb fun if you're in the mood for dumb fun, but you do have to shut your brain off for it because there are points where I'm just like, like I don't think I could roll my eyes any harder. But it was fun, and it was classic. It's classic Ryan Reynolds saying funny Ryan Reynolds things. So there you go.
It was
I was
classic
just-
Van Wilder.
I was just
Yeah,
thinking, does Ryan Reynolds owe somebody money or something? Because he is just in anything. I mean, some of it's really good and some of it's really not.
Right.
But I mean, I don't really care because he's cute. But it's just it's just weird.
He is in lots of stuff, but I don't feel like he's. I'm sure there's a certain level, or maybe it's not. He doesn't even really care about the writing, but he's like, who else? The Rock's in it. Okay,
Yeah, maybe he's like who
Right.
can I pick on while I'm there? Okay, if that guy will have fun with me.
because you look at some people like Samuel L. Jackson,
Yeah.
and he's maybe not the best example, but I don't know, Snakes on a Plane, stuff like that. Like he'll kind of do anything.
Yeah, he will. He'll be like, "Why did you choose to do this?" And he's like, "Because they were gonna give me money, and so I did it."
Ryan Reynolds will probably do anything, but it's usually high level anything,
Well, I don't know, maybe.
higher level. It is interesting. I guess it makes sense. Like we're gonna see more larger movie stars showing up in
Not
Netflix
like Hugh
stuff, but-
Jackman level things, but like Ryan Reynolds things.
Right, right. I mean, when you're Van Wilder, you gotta settle once in a while.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman just has fans anyway.
Right.
He
Did you
sings,
say he has
Right.
fancy pants?
yeah, he sings a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is just waiting for the right roles.
That one was good, really good. I thought.
It was fun.
For him, he
Yeah.
he does well in it.
Yeah. You just gotta be,
Van
Van
Wilder.
Wilder is all.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think I've ever actually seen Van Wilder. You reference it all the time, and I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's the origin. And you argue with me about it sometimes, and you've got to watch it. It's just
I don't need to.
it's as with
Baby.
almost all of his movies. It's just Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds. But nobody knew who Ryan Reynolds was until Van Wilder, and people are like, "Who's this guy? He's got charisma." And then you see him in other stuff, you're like, "He's just Van Wilder."
No,
Right.
he just has charisma. That's what it is. It's not that he's Van Wilder. He's a very attractive and charismatic person,
He's Van
and we
Wilder.
all love him. So accept it.
If it was National Lampoon's Ryan Reynolds, he'd be just Ryan Reynolds, okay? But it wasn't. It was Van Wilder, and so he
It
is
might as-
forever just Van Wilder.
It may as well have been National Lampoon's Ryan Reynolds because that's what it was
It's-
all about.
You're right.
So anyway, let's talk about some Doctor Who.
Hey,
Hey.
so we've watched 2 episodes since we last talked, and I'm glad I watched a recap because after the 3rd episode, I think it'd be hard to go back and really have a lot to say about the 2nd episode. I could be wrong, but all the stuff of consequence kind of happens in the 3rd episode.
Right.
The 2nd episode, quick recap for you guys if you need it. War of the Sontarans, in which the Flux happened, and we get some weird abstract visuals, and then we get kind of the first somewhat normal Doctor Who episode in a few years.
Right.
It's not perfect, but it felt, and there was some cheese. There's definitely some cheese, but it felt like a normal Doctor Who episode.
Right.
And that's partially, I think, the Sontarans, but also like,
It's historical too. It's like
Yes,
historical and Santarans. So it's like a nice little blend of classic monster, classic approach, sandwich.
I will be honest here and just say I may have nodded off a couple times
You
during this
did.
episode.
I know
So
you did.
Yeah.
I'm missing chunks.
Yeah. Uh, but okay, well, I was gonna recap it for Melanie because she usually never remembers anything, but she fell asleep, so
I did. I did.
we don't
There's
need
a
to
whole
do that.
character that I don't know where he came from, but he's there. Whatever.
Who was the? Speaking of, there's a historical character in this, Mary Seacole. I didn't know much about her. Uh,
Nope.
by the way, the bar. I think the bar is so low. If you like, there's a lot of praise for these last two episodes online,
Hmm.
and in my opinion, I'll just go ahead and say I think they are an improvement.
Right.
But I think the praise is maybe a little out of control.
Yeah.
Hmm.
A lot of people are praising like her depiction, and it's like the actor portrayed her well. It's
Sure.
cool that this
It's fine.
character was there. This person was there. I didn't know who she was,
Hmm.
but I don't feel like she was given good stuff to do. The doctor pulled her away from her hospital duties to sit overnight and watch
Yes.
a
Yeah.
Santaran encampment.
Yeah.
Right. Like a major historical figure, and like, hey, can you just babysit this ship that's maybe empty?
Yeah.
Come with me, important historical figure, into this dangerous situation that I don't know anything about. Okay, cool, we're here. Man, it's been a long day, huh? You're going to sleep hard. Well, I guess you're not going to sleep. You're going to stay up all night and watch them. And then the next day she shows up and she's still out there watching, and she's like, okay, let's go do this thing. It's like, you need to give this lady a break, doctor.
Right. Right. Yeah.
She got stuff to do.
Yeah.
And
She's like
watching Santarans not be around isn't one of them. Sorry.
Yeah. She's like the only person out there trying to like save people.
Right. Okay, Jesse, what did you think of this episode overall?
I liked it because it was like a kind of a departure from what we got from Moffat. You know, like Moffat just used Santarans for laughs, and this at least tried to give them a little bit of a threat. You know, they did have this. They did have the Strax clone batch version. You know, the Dan Starkey, which I like Dan Starkey, but like in this, he's the, you know, they even had him like basically do a, was it man, I'm losing the word now, the ritual suicide thing where he's like, I've disgraced myself and I need you to show me mercy. And so mercy is, I'm done, you know.
Right.
And so that was like, whoa, that's brutal. Also, I felt like it was taking a shot a little bit at it may not have been. It may, but I was just like, man, are we just taking shots at Strax here? Because you literally took a shot at Strax.
It is a little jarring because the character, it's not Strax, but you know, the actor, and he is more of a Strax-like character than like the general or whoever that guy, the guy that killed him was. So he is still a kind of a goofy Santaran, and it did feel a little bit like that. Like,
Right.
this isn't Strax, but it's Strax.
Right.
I like that they did the thing that Doctor Who has always done really with the stupid, arrogant military guy who thinks he knows what he's doing and, you know, screws everything up. That's always fun to see, huh?
Right.
That is, I mean, that's like, yeah, it's classic. It's classic Doctor Who trope, but also like, you know, science versus military, or I guess reason versus violence trope in storytelling. But also apparently that general was also based on an actual character and he, it wasn't Santarans. Apparently it was Russians, as they point out in this. Here in America, we don't know much about that war, or at least I don't remember
Right.
learning much about that war.
Uh-huh.
We only concern ourselves with like two of them, the big ones, the
big ones,
good
yeah.
wars.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Yep.
It's like hearing people refer to World War II as the best war. It's like, What are you talking
It was
about?
the greatest generation or something.
Right, right.
Ooh.
It's like, yo, no, yeah,
Really?
great. You're only great because you survived. Everyone trying to kill each other on Earth. Great.
Right.
Anyway, give peace a chance. Now I'm feeling all hippie like apparently.
The dog person shows up in this again, right? Like that instantly took me out of it, and I was like, I'm mad all over again.
It's a dog. It's a dog ex machina.
Yeah, he shows up in every episode so far. We're only 3 in, and he's in every episode. Even when I don't think he's there, he's there.
Yeah, even when you don't think he's there, and there's logically no reason for him to be there.
No.
He's there.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
then
Melanie?
after this, they went into space again, right? Because that's when I nodded off, and all I know is, I woke up and they had an extra like S&M buddy with them, and
Yeah,
and
she
then-
was like, "Who's that big guy?" And I was like, "That's the passenger." Who's that? And I was like, "I don't know. He just showed up." They're like, "This is the passenger." I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay."
yeah, that's exactly how they introduced it. It was like, whoop, there he is.
But I'm glad you mentioned it because I think my favorite part of episode 2 really. Also, I didn't hate Dan's parents, even though it ended up being like a little kind of typical humor,
Right.
but jabbing at the old married couple. But I was kind of like, man, this is the most just characterization we've gotten for characters in the show in a while. I feel
Yeah.
wait, did they kill him off then?
They show
No.
him up. They show up with a
Okay.
walk.
Right. Some of the dance stuff was a little ridiculous, but it was fine. It was fine. But the villains, man, I kind of like the female villain. Looks interesting. But she hasn't been given too much to do. I can't remember her name offhand. There's the Swarm, and she's something. But man, the Swarm they call him Swarm? Is that his name?
I don't know. And then they also been throwing around Ravagers, which is a villain in Big Finish. So it's confusing to me. Like, is this the same Ravagers or?
It's a swarm of Ravagers, apparently.
Yeah. Which
He's
makes me think of the Ravenous, which is another, yet again, Big Finish villain that the Eighth Doctor's gone up against. And so I don't know. What are the rules, Chibnall? What are you just randomly stealing from Big Finish this week?
He kind of is, isn't it? But I really like the villain. He's fabulously evil. He's got a very flamboyant body
Very glam.
language, and his style is on point. He's
yeah.
very
Very
kind
metro.
of outrageous. Super cool, interesting take on a villain, I think. So I'm kind of liking them so far.
Yeah. Surprisingly, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I was very skeptical.
They still never clarify who was the guy that his sister was living with as a human.
Yeah, that they murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He didn't matter.
she was in love with him.
Oh, though one of the big complaints I have about this, and it's such a minor thing, and I realize it's just to set up the fact that somehow Swarm knows secrets in Yaz's brain, and Yaz is like, "How'd you know
yeah.
that?" The WWTDD on her hand.
Oh
What
my-
would the
Right,
doctor
That was
do?
the worst.
So stupid.
Yeah. It actually made me angry when I saw it.
Yeah.
Like, I need that reminder.
Yeah.
Eggs,
for-
butter. What would the doctor do?
I feel like, and it's so weird going into this that is so not basic, casual viewer friendly in a way, especially the next episode. But man, I feel like especially the Chibnall era really talks down to the viewers a lot, and I get that it's still supposed to be kind of for kids, so they kind of have to over-explain sometimes.
I don't know kids watch Doctor Who.
But we can get that Yaz is trying to be like the doctor without having to her actually be like, what would the doctor do, and have it written on her hand. Like
Yeah,
you can convey that motivation in a more clever way, I think.
I agree.
When the delivery is so on the nose, anyways, you didn't need to look at your hand for us to get it. Like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
she's being the doctor.
They did it better with Clara, but even with Clara, she said it out loud. But you could convey it in a look. Just be like, whatever. I don't, not that. Don't, I'm not acting. But you could convey it in a look and get the point that she's trying to be like the doctor.
Hmm.
She shouldn't be. The doctor's a jerk. The doctor, Yaz is in a unhealthy relationship,
Right.
and every episode that's like reinforced.
Hmm.
Overall, I'd say this episode was fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's
it
fine.
was okay. Well, what I saw of it was okay.
Now let's get to the juicy stuff, right?
Is it juicy?
I mean, it's definitely getting into like let's just stir up the cannon. I want to
Oh,
leave
yeah.
my chibnall mark on the Doctor Who canon as a whole. Man,
On
that
its
seems
whole.
so. But episode 3, Once Upon Time, is much more like that episode's got to be impenetrable for casual viewers, right? It's very confusing just watching it, and like it's not hard to follow what's happening. They do still kind of over explain sometimes, but like in it, it's kind of like, where is this going?
We start with this new character. We're halfway through the Flux. Like
Yeah.
we only get 6 episodes, and we're still introducing new characters.
Two this episode.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes sense. Like once we get the payoff to why they're there, but like initially, I'm just like, why are we doing this?
Hmm.
What?
It actually was kind of disappointing to me. I mean, I guessed it beforehand, but in the long run, because I was kind of hoping that Yaz would have a new friend, so she would have less, weird doctor
Oh,
obsession.
yeah.
But
Oh,
that's
the guy,
not.
right? He's taken.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, because there was a little.
Connection.
Yeah, yeah.
Between the
There
two?
was
felt
exactly
like.
between those two when they first met.
Hmm.
That said, I didn't hate the stuff with her in it when we followed her.
Right.
There's definitely some cheese, but man, when she takes out that, none of the villains can shoot this season. It's kind of really bad. Episode 2 had that real bad where Dan ran away from like right in the open, ran away from a squad of Santarans, and they just can't hit him.
Yeah, come on.
There was a little bit of this.
They're
With,
literally bred to be soldiers. If they can do one thing, it's not be stormtroopers.
right,
Right.
Man, the parallels are.
Right. Clone batches and everything. Yep.
But she takes out. I liked her little conversation with the Cyberman the last Cyberman she took out.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, just her little inner quip about. It's cheesy because it's about love, but her quip
Right.
about, and that's why you're dead on the floor, and I put you there. It's just like,
Like, oh,
love
snap.
is the mission, idiot. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
So, I like her, the little bit we've seen, and I like the new guy. I can't remember his name, but that's okay. The Doctor never even learned it.
Right.
Right.
They're interesting characters to me. They're infinitely more interesting, and I feel like in one episode they both got much more interesting backstories and character, I don't know, development than any of the companions have
Right.
in the whole Chibnall run.
Right.
So, yeah.
So they're gonna die.
Well, probably. I've heard theories. Do you want to hear theories?
Not yet.
Okay.
I want to say though about this episode that in the beginning, I was very interested. It interested me more than many episodes have before. I like the weird jumping into the time stream seems stupid, but I like the not knowing whether you're actually there or not.
Right.
In the different streams, I suppose it would be. For the the character in there, which one of you is real and stuff the questioning of it all. That whole thing interests me, but it still seemed dumb and unnecessary a little bit. Even I, the doctor's in there doing something, but what? We don't. What was she doing? I don't know.
She
Nothing.
didn't know.
She's jumping back and forth, telling everybody to just stay there, and then they kick her out eventually. Nothing was happening. So it kind of seemed like pointless. And then the old lady stuff. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. And if the only thing I can think of, and if that was it, it'd be awesome. But it would kind of ruin the show. It would be like all the Doctor Who stuff is imaginary or a game or something that the Doctor's playing, and that now she's got to go home and be with her grandma, and that would be awesome. But like I said, it would ruin the show.
I kind of felt like part of me wanted that to be the master retired. Mm-hmm. Like that's how the master retires. Is just like I'm just gonna be like doing stuff, and then the doctor's gonna show up, and I'm gonna do my thing where I kind of talk down to the doctor, and then there we go. I'm gonna go back to doing my stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be good.
I also I like the setup, but also I have a hard time with some of this Chibnall Doctor Who stuff because like the Eighth Doctor has jumped into the time storm stuff before, and so I almost feel like it worked better on audio because in video form you're just in like a field of right. Unnecessary CGI blue and white. And then just like pew pew, and then the moray and they talk and stuff, and it's just it was kind of convoluted and confusing.
Yeah, then that was another thing too. The moray or whatever they are, she doesn't know them or has never heard of them, or maybe she did and she forgot about it. But then when she jumps in there, she's all like on friendly terms with them, like they've been
right.
buddies her whole life. I don't understand all that.
Yeah. And then, she didn't know what to do the whole time. She's figuring it out. I'm figuring it out. And while they're doing Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, which was fine, I feel like maybe it went a little long in that respect. And then suddenly, she has the plan, but the plan is, okay, bring more of you guys. They killed these a couple of you, so we need more of you. Like, that's your whole plan? It took you that long to figure out that we just need more of these Maury people? But I guess maybe the kind of interesting thing is we get pre-First Doctor Ruth adventure, essentially.
Yeah. The best part of this episode was when the Doctor wasn't the Doctor.
I wish it would have been... I wish the Doctor would have been the Doctor more. Like, that whole speech at the end, or towards the end, when she defeated them the first time in the flashback, essentially... We should have been watching Ruth the whole time instead of watching Jodie Whittaker and then occasional flashes of Ruth. I think the audience is quick enough, or if they're not, you've lost them well into this episode. You don't have to worry about them anymore. They're not watching.
Right. They literally left like Holly did.
Yeah. You could have just had it be the Ruth Doctor and let her have a cool scene and highlight part of what makes her different, which is apparently she seems very soldiery. She's definitely not the Doctor that any of the Doctors
she's the real World War Doctor. Sorry.
yeah, kind of. So I don't know. Yeah, but so that's kind of interesting. I mean, if we're committed to this whole thing, give us more of it, I guess.
Right.
Or none of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And yet it was the most, and I don't particularly love what it does to the character of 13, but at the same time, it's the most spark that we've seen out of her is that she gets pretty upset when you don't let her do the thing that she wants to do. It was man, 13 just this is where I'm I hate that sometimes the trolls get a nugget and it's oh man, they might be right on this one, because it's man, she was a brat.
You're right.
she was a brat in that moment, and she was mean to Yaz and she was mean to all of them. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. She can be mean. It's the most emotion we've seen. But also, like, it was a little jarring. It was like, what? What? Now?
She reminds me, or the 13th Doctor reminds me of people that I've known actually, who always try to be sweet and nice, and then eventually they get to the point where they just explode because they're just suppressed their stuff for too long, and then they're mean, and then they feel bad about it, and they try to apologize, but it's like, yeah, but if you would just like say your problems along the way, then maybe you wouldn't blow up like that, and it wouldn't be an issue. That's the
Right.
Doctor. She's always tries to hide everything from people, and she should just be honest, and it wouldn't be such a big
Well,
issue.
she's had more issues than you could possibly imagine.
Oh well, no, I know, I've heard.
That's her catchphrase now. At least one of them.
See, and that's Chibnall. You don't know what I can imagine. I can imagine a lot. That's offensive.
Right.
Stop
Than you
talking
could
down to me,
possibly
Chippy.
possibly imagine.
It's a little bit of a bummer that like the big takeaways from 13th Doctor's era is that she doesn't ever remember anything or understand what's going on in the moment, and the big revelations are that like she was other doctors before the first Doctor, like, so she's going to be known for being, I don't know, her doctor's going to be known for the revelations that there were other doctors. Like, that's not
Right,
great.
right. Yeah.
So conspiracy time, and I didn't necessarily think of this, but it kind of makes sense. It's a little worrisome, but totally would I could see it going this way. What's her name? The woman that we follow at the beginning and partway through.
Bell.
Belle?
I thought that they introed it with the title card that said like Bell's story or something.
Oh, right. Okay. Kind of twist at the end. She's pregnant. And some people are like, those are clearly that's the Doctor's parents, and I'm like, oh man.
Really?
I worry. I feel like I could see it going that way,
Yeah. Well,
which would be make which I get. It ties everything
It'd be
into
fine.
a time.
It'd be fine, but
It's-
why?
We don't need it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
right.
We
Yeah.
don't need to know how Han Solo got his jacket and his gun. And
Right,
we
right.
don't need to meet the Doctor's parents necessarily. Like, it's just one of those things. It's where eventually, when you're just like trying to like poke at the coals of old story canon, what can I do? What can I do that'd be cool?
Just give us Carol Ann Ford before she dies.
Right. But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe there's going to be a big twist. It turns out the Doctor wasn't. No, it's not. There's not going to be a big twist like that.
No.
I mean, at least there's it's still a mess, but there's a lot of interesting ideas, I feel like, in this season so far.
Yeah, but there's always lots of good ideas that they don't follow through on, and if anybody's not going to follow through on them, it's probably Chibnall.
It's so far. That's his track record.
So, but I will say I've enjoyed these last two episodes more than I have the entire rest of his run, and so I have some hope, not a whole lot, but a tiny bit of hope that it's not going to totally suck.
This episode did feel like a way to speed up the overarching plot line. Like, I think this was the episode where it's like, okay, we planned on having 9 episodes. We get 6. Here we
Info
go.
dump.
Time storm.
Right. Which I guess if you got a compressed storyline, time storm. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Jump into a time storm, a bunch of exposition, yet still somehow it felt like Yaz was just spinning her wheels with nothing to do. Dan a little bit to a point.
Right. What do we feel about Weeping Angels? Because they have an oddly pivotal role right now, too.
I'm a little like Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I don't. You go ahead, because I was just gonna say I don't even understand yet what the point is, but I don't think we have been given it yet.
Well, it feels like a little bit like they fixed the time s- planet situation, which was very kind of sudden, I guess. But I mean, for creatures that feed on time, it makes sense that you'd think they'd be all over that planet and be like, "Oh, it's going crazy. This is a buffet." um, it's weird to see a weeping angel piloting the TARDIS at the end of
Right.
the Flash.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
the angel has a TARDIS.
Right. Which was such a callback in like such a cheesy way. Like
Yeah.
with the angels have the phone box or whatever. Wasn't that the
Right.
original version?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, clever. I did like they put the angel in, like they brought that whole thing where the angel can exist within digital media thing
Yeah.
back, like that was interesting. And I feel like they've course corrected the Weeping Angels a little bit, like they course corrected the Suntarans a little bit, but also I'm worried about this next episode because I'm worried that like less is more with the angels. I feel like one weeping angel can be so much scarier than a whole city
Right. Right. Less is more.
or a village.
Right. Or the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Never gonna let that go. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. When we were just talking about the Rory and Amy thing, where it's like where Rory joins Amy, or no, Amy joins Rory or whatever, and it's like that's not even how Weeping Angels worked before.
You're right.
Like,
You don't
they
know that.
steal your potential and they put you wherever. They
Wherever.
don't just automatically dump you in the same place because it's the same angel.
I can't believe. I don't think I've ever actually thought about that. You're right.
That'd be like lazy angel stuff, like New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey.
I don't know. It's like not knowing where you want to eat kind of thing. It was like, I don't know. Let's just do runs again.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. What was that the 50s, 40s? New Jersey 40s is fine. We'll just go there again.
Yeah. We'll send you that pocket dimension. We ran out of ideas.
What was I've lost it.
I'm still stuck on the parents thing, so I'm trying to think of how that worked, because back in the day when Amy Pond was pregnant, I was like, this is a good way to explain where what are they called? Time Lords
Time
come
Lords?
from, because she has a kid that is like brought up and kind of born or whatever in the time stream. That would be a good place for Time Lords to come from. But they didn't do that. Then so they made River Song and mucked it all up.
Well, they kind of did though. Well, no, they didn't. They didn't do that. That's the origin of the civilization, and it's weird that they've never really touched on it. Maybe people didn't like. Maybe the audience didn't like. I don't know. Maybe people didn't like it, so they're just like, well, let's just move on. But she's like a wholly human person who also could regenerate like a Time Lord because she was
Right.
born in the or conceived in the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Right. So that's how they could
That's-
have done it, but they didn't.
So that means the Timeless Child revelation undoes the River Song thing. Which, listen, if you can undo Let's Kill Hitler, then do, because that episode is awful.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you can kind of undo River Song's whole like Time Lordness in one episode just goes to explain why that episode's so terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's, I mean, not that there isn't conflicting Doctor Who canon, but man, that's I mean, come on. There's just a couple doctors away from each other.
Yeah.
You're directly contradicting the last showrunner, dude. Come on.
Right. Well, like I said, Strax.
Yeah.
Right.
Paternoster gang this.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Nothing about the Timeless Child's good. Okay, it's just a mess. Because once again, it's not even just like, you know, it's the flux is my fault. What's it to do with you? Not now, Yaz, or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
because it's got to be all about the Doctor all the time. We don't need Space Jesus. That's not why the Doctor's great.
Right.
Chibnall,
Right.
knock it off.
Well, I mean, what would the Doctor do? Come on.
You're right. You're right.
Right.
He's all about making the Doctor Space Jesus.
Yeah. So was Jesus a woman? Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm done.
Lots of real strict Christians just got irritated and they don't know why.
Yeah.
Some extremists that their blood just started boiling. Somewhere, someone said something horrible.
It's like were your ears burning? Because we were talking about you, kind of thing.
And it's not because of Jesus. It's because they never worship a woman.
No, come on. No, the Mother Mary is as close as we get.
And she had to be a virgin forever.
Yes,
Oh,
she's
yeah,
a virgin.
yeah. Always, for all time.
Yeah, man. You guys.
So I'm curious about. Maybe you can't go into it, and we got to wrap up. So this will be my last thing related to Doctor Who that I'll ask. Jesse, what was it that specifically that pushed Holly off of it? Was there a certain? Because she said she was dumb as a feminist.
She just like as a feminist, she wants to like this Doctor, but she hates the writing. She was just like she's written so badly.
Mm-hmm.
And like she was done with the writing. I think she was done with the helter skelter plot line, and just specifically that third episode. And if you're not into that kind of storytelling, if you're not you have to be in it to decipher what's even going on, because you've got weird things where Dan's here but he's not really here, and he's there but he's not really there. He's maybe a dog person. Like if you're not in it to win it, you're not going to enjoy that third episode.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, there's a lot of praise, and I think it's like, I mean, the bar's been kind of low for a while, so any improvement it's okay. I don't know that it's worth all the praise it's getting, but I have, like Melanie said, I've been enjoying these last couple episodes more than I've enjoyed the last several seasons. So,
yeah, there were things that I at least liked that didn't just totally take me out of the story, other than dog people.
Is that supposed to be the same dog person?
I think so. And we're like, why?
How is
and then
he?
What? How has he never shown up before? And why is he so linked to Dan then? If he's been around that long.
Like
Well,
really long.
Yeah.
Maybe space dogs have like reverse dog years. So it's like
what I
70
was
years
thinking.
every human year,
This conversation is making me mad. Why are we still talking about this dog person?
Because you don't want to just like rub a scruff right there a little bit.
Jeez.
Hey, that's amazing. You know what else
Yeah.
is amazing?
Me?
You are, Melanie.
Okay.
And you are also amazing at telling us what we should be amazed about.
Okay. I will tell you. It's not necessarily something you should be amazed by. It's something that what amazes me is why people assume that our brains would be anything like any other animal's brain. But most of the knowledge we have about brains we get from mice brains, because you can't usually just cut it into people's brains and experiment on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not allowed.
It's not nice.
Right. So we use mice brains. which arguably is not nice either, but we do it. So the way that neurons work, they get a signal in, and then it gets like processed and shot out to other neurons. And the way that it works in mice, basically, the farther it has to go, the lower the signal is. Like it loses energy on the way. So since humans' neurons are much larger, you would think that their signals would actually be much weaker because they have to travel farther through the neuron even to get shot out. But ours don't work that way. They work quite a bit differently, actually, and they only know this because they were there was brain tissue donated from living living people that had parts of their brains bisected for medical reasons, donated them to science. So if you ever get a chance to get your parts of your brain chopped out, donate it to science, please. It helps us a lot. But anyway, so that's not the way that ours work. The way that ours work is it goes in and then it shoots out in different directions with just as much intensity as it came in with, if not more, which means that our neurons, unlike mice neurons at least, pull in and process the information first before it shoots it out in other directions and then adds other information to it. So our individual neurons are actually like looking at it, sorting it, deciding, making decisions about it before it shoots it out, which is kind of crazy that one neuron has that much intelligence. I don't want to say intelligence because I don't know if that's the right word, but it kind of has that much
Right.
capability in each individual neuron, which is kind of fascinating. And so that's what they just discovered. So be amazed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So in a way, we have like fiber optic connections, but the light protons actually also do computing along the way.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's
I'll make it simpler by explaining it in other science terms.
yeah.
Also, love is the only mission. Idiot.
Yep.
Oh man. All right. Jesse, you got anything exciting going on or anything you want to mention before we go?
Nope.
Nope.
Not that I can think of, anyways.
Okay.
We should say hi to Paul before we say goodbye. Hi,
Hey,
Paul.
Paul.
Hey, Paul. Yeah. You can check out the replay. We had a good old time.
We've been talked about, Randy talked about trauma. Some more.
I did talk about trauma. I don't think you're gonna like it, Paul. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think you're gonna like my trauma talk, but I did it, and you can revisit it. Well, I want to say before we go real quick, because I think these are things that I maybe can kind of promote on the show. Let me navigate.
Oh, something. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. The new Humble Bundle that has like a whole bunch of like samurai books,
including the stuff that Lone Wolf and Cub is based on. I love that. I love those movies. I'm so glad you reminded me because I kind of want to buy it and I had forgotten. Yeah.
Some of those I have some of those books, and they're like some of the martial arts ones are legit worth it.
I'm glad you mentioned that. What is the bundle called? Let's go to books. Where's it at? Oh yeah, the Lone Wolf and Cub by Kyoki from Dark Horse bundle. It's a mouthful. There's also a Live Like a Samurai.
That's the one. That's the one that I was
you're
looking
talking
at.
about.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, there's a couple of those books on the shelf behind me, and they're legit good. And there's the book that basically Aikido is based on, The Art of Peace, which you see, what's his name, reading in The Walking Dead television series.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't even see that one. Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, there's some good Humble Bundles right now.
Well, you should get that. And how much time is left on this one? You should also get the Lone Wolf and Cub bundle because that's got a whole bunch of manga and stuff. But not just for Lone Wolf and Cub. It's got that, as well as Samurai Executioner, which sounds like it could be a Lone Wolf and Cub thing almost. Lady Snowblood. Yeah. Go to grawlixpodcast.com/humble. That's an affiliate link. Done my responsibility in telling you that it's an affiliate link, but go there. We might get you should be able to choose if we get a couple bones for that sale. Also, while you're going places to buy things, you should also go to strangerswitht-shirts.com and you can get a new cute goat pentagram shirt. It's got a very cutesy goat face cartoon character on what's supposed to look like a bubblegum type pentagram. We also have a variation that says "Hail Satan" in bubblegum text. It's very cute. And Melanie and I went back and forth on this design for quite a while.
Long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it took us a while to get the horns right. And then also this one, based on one of Melanie's paintings, one of her favorite paintings that she's done, of a dancing woman in silhouette. And it's an awesome shirt. Body positivity.
Yep.
Do that. Also, I guess, you know what? I should be responsible and tell you that if you go to strangerswitht-shirts.com, that is also an affiliate link.
All right.
But that's like the shirts that we actually designed. So, of course, we're getting money out of that because we made those.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I got to say. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Savannah, earlier. Thanks, everybody in the future for listening on the podcast feed. I promise it won't be 2 weeks before you hear this over there. I just uploaded our episode 1 discussion yesterday because I was like, man, I need to get it up there. A part of the delay was I had to adjust to some new software because, as I mentioned last week, I was using old Photoshop or old Adobe software, and I finally broke down and said, screw it, I need new software. So and I bought that Humble bundle with all the Corel paint and all that.
Sure.
It wasn't working for me. It wasn't cutting the mustard.
Unfortunately, nobody does Photoshop like Photoshop.
No, man. And if it was just Photoshop, that'd be one thing. But
right.
I do a lot of video editing now, and DaVinci Resolve started glitching out on me hard, and I was like, I'm making money off of it, so I can at least justify it.
Sure.
Adobe Creative Cloud, and it's not cheap, man. I do not enjoy adding that bill to my monthly costs, but.
That's the big thing that monthly costs.
Oh man,
freaking ridiculous.
$50-something a month, and that's for the if I cancel before the end of the year, I have to pay like a big chunk of money.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, it's like almost $80 a month.
Gross.
And I use, 2 to 3 of those of those programs almost daily. So might as well get the whole suite. Anyway, there's a little update. We are now officially a serialized story podcast.
There we go. It's like a true crime at this point.
Does it make you feel manly? Because Paul says your voice is oddly deeper than normal today.
Yeah. I don't know what he's talking. I don't know.
How can you go lower than that? You're like,
I don't know what he's talking.
You'll have to go into demon voice to get lower.
I don't know what he's talking about. Where is it? The only way I can get lower is if I go Batman. This is the Grawlix podcast. All right. Thanks, everybody. Go to grawlixpodcast.com, GRAWLIX podcast.com.
Where is it?
It's because I got all my, turned it up to 11 done at the beginning of the show. So then as the show goes, I just get lower and lower. Mm-hmm. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.
Bye.